holding an undated, and you know, if I've tried to teach my children anything, it's always date any letter you write. But this is an undated letter, and an excellent letter, from Galen, where he had a few minutes at the office and wanted to drop me a line to suggest some memos to file that I can consider as I play with my new machine. At that time, my new machine, Galen's just turning down the volume on Stabbin' Matter by Rossini, my favorite music. Anyway, Galen felt I should record something on my new machine. My new machine at that time was an electronic typewriter. I still believe we should get a video camera and get you actually telling the story. But getting them on paper is a good first start. Well, the first start never got off. Yes, it did. I sent something out. I sent out what the church means to me, I think. And I put a lot of stuff in that. I put a lot of thought in that, because I delivered that at church here. But here it goes, and then Galen has a list here of about 20 different topics that I could talk about. And his first one is Pierre Weisenberger's car, however he spells his name, and Sir Arthur Currie. Well, there's no relationship between Sir Arthur Currie and Pierre Weisenberger. I'll talk first about Sir Arthur Currie. Sir Arthur Currie was the best man at the wedding of Dr. Alec Stewart and his wife, and as such he became a lifelong friend of my father's. And indeed, Sir Arthur Currie met Sandy Stewart, Sandy Jr., and myself coming back from England from the World Scout Jamboree. And it was front page news with a picture on the Montreal Star. Sir Arthur, who had commanded the Canadian forces during the First World War, became principal of McGill, occupied the old Baumgarten home, which today is the faculty club of McGill University. And I go there once a month to attend meetings of my investment club, and I always take the elevator that was installed for Sir Arthur Currie after his terrible stroke, because he couldn't get from one floor to the next without the elevator. And I am at that stage where maybe I could make it, but it's much more convenient for me to get on the little elevator. The Baumgarten home, Baumgarten himself, was suspect during the First World War as a German, and got out of the country in a hurry. It was one of Montreal's great mansions. Its ballroom floor was supported on springs, and it's still there today. So if you have a dance, and the dancers are dancing in rhythm with the orchestra, the floor actually oscillates. It is a magnificent old home. It's not in great repair, but it's still a magnificent home. Now, Sir Arthur Currie, because he was a friend of my father's, had me, while he was principal of McGill, had me at his home for lunch a number of occasions, and whenever my father was in town, always made sure that he had a dinner with Lady Currie and Dad and myself and other guests. And so that was kind of special, because the Chancellor of McGill University at that time was, come now, President of the Sir Edward Beatty, president of CPR. And Sir Edward was also a friend of my dad's. And as a matter of fact, I learned that I had graduated from McGill in the office of Sir Edward Beatty. Dad was in town, and he took me to visit some of his friends that he was going to drop in on, and one of them was Sir Edward Beatty. And Sir Edward glowered over it. Boy, he was a fierce man. He glowered over his glasses at me and he says, "Young man, how'd you do?" He happened to know that I was in my final year of engineering. I said, gulped, and I said, "Sir, I don't know." He says, "I'll find out." He picked up his phone, said to his secretary, "Get me Brown." No, Dean Brown. And hung up. Well, Dean Brown was Dean of Engineering at McGill. And my heart did flip-flops. I felt just that tall. I was frightened. I was really terrified. For the first time in my life, I was terrified. And the phone rang. Sir Edward picked it up and says, "Beatty?" And says, "Oh, Dean. Yeah, how are things?" "Yes, I'm interested in one young fellow. His name is Duncan. Yeah, electrical." "That's so. That's so. Okay." He hung up. And oh, I was dying. I was dying. And he looked at me and said, "You're through. You passed." And the world lifted off my shoulders. So I had the fortunate experience of going through McGill as a personal acquaintance of both the chancellor and the principal. And that, thanks to your granddad, because he was a personal friend of both of them. At 318 South Archibald Street, the family home for William, the men of the house, which meant Uncle Fred, myself, and Grandpa, my dad, all slept in a dormitory. The dormitory was unheated. Along one side of the dormitory was the bedside table, a single bed, a bedside table, a double bed, bedside table, a single bed, and a door and a cupboard. The other wall was two small bookcases at each end. The rest of the wall was French windows. And we slept in Woods Arctic 90 by 90 eiderdowns, sleeping bags. So it could be 40 below in the bedroom there. And with all those windows open, there were it was just like sleeping outdoors. And Fort William gets pretty darn cold at night, and in the daytime too.